Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, these countries are tiny compared to the Soviet Union. They don't pose a serious threat to us.
Congressman Paul, I want to just give you 15 seconds. I want to just make sure I understand. So your policy towards Iran is if they want to develop a nuclear weapon, that's their right, no sanctions, no effort to stop them.
No, I think that makes it much worse. Why would that be so strange? If the Soviets and the Chinese have nuclear weapons, we tolerated the Soviets. We didn't attack them, and they were a much greater danger. They were the greatest danger to us in our whole history. But you don't go to war against them. I mean, this whole idea of sanctions, all these pretend free traders, they're the ones who put on these trade sanctions. This is why we still don't have trade relationships with Cuba. It's about time we talk to Cuba and stop fighting these wars that are about 30 or 40 years old.
Mr. Kane, Senator Santorum, I got a question for you.
Well, as the author of the Iran Freedom Support Act, which he is criticizing, because I authored it when I was in the United States Senate when it actually imposed sanctions on Iran because of their nuclear program. Iran is not Iceland, Ron. Iran is a country that has been at war with us since 1979. Iran is a country that has killed more American men and women in uniform in Iraq and Afghanistan than the Iraqis and the Afghanistan have. The Iranians are the existential threat to the state of Israel. You ask the Israelis, what keeps them up at night? It's the Iranians funding of Hamas and Hezbollah and the support of Syria.
30 seconds.
And the reason, hold on, let me finish.
There are rules here, sir.
Yeah, I know there are rules, and you guys have been giving these guys a lot of time and not a whole lot of time to be, so let me answer the question.
You have a question coming.
Okay, the senator is wrong on his history. We've been at war in Iran for a lot longer than '79. We started it in 1953 when we sent in a coup, installed the Shah, and the reaction, the blowback came in 1979. It's been going on and on because we just plain don't mind our own business. That's our problem.
Conservatives do not believe in unilateral disarmament. We do not believe in anything but the number one most powerful military on the face of the earth, particularly given the rise of the Red Chinese. We must recall, Ron Paul is not a conservative. He's a libertarian. He runs as a Republican. He is not the founder of the Tea Party movement. He keeps claiming it. People keep claiming it on his behalf. But the vast majority of the Tea Party members never voted for the man and won't vote for the man. And didn't in 2008. So the fact that he may be able to cobble together 3,000 or 4,000 votes in Iowa and come in number one, it's like CPAC where they bust them all in and they get their votes. Wow, look at that. Or like an online poll where they all swamp the online poll in order to create an illusion. There's no groundswell for the kind of foreign policy, national security position of Ron Paul. People aren't following Ron Paul any more than they're following George Montgomery. I think back during the founding he would not have been a Federalist. I think he would have been an anti-Federalist, which is perfectly fine, but they're two different things. I don't think he would have voted for the Constitution had he been at the Constitutional Convention. I think he's a guy that supported the Articles of Confederation, or would have been. I think he's a guy who would support secession if push came to shove. You ought to see the people he hangs out with and the websites that support him. Go ahead and look at LouRockwell.com. The guy's a nut. Or read Paul Moonshine's pieces at the New Jersey Ledger. Guy's a nut. These aren't conservatives. They don't know the first thing about conservatism. They're neo-Confederates. They're secessionists. They're whatever they are. Ronald Reagan is attacked by these guys all the time because of his strong defense posture. They even attack guys like Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas and John Roberts. This guy does not represent conservatives and conservative Republicans. He's decided that He wants to use it as a platform. But you know what? He's taken up a lot of air and a lot of space, and the media wants to keep using him. You know, we got to hear from some more of these other candidates. I thought Rick Santorum took down Ron Paul. Literally took him down on this Iran nonsense. And I want you to listen to Ron Paul on Iran. Because it is time that conservatives and Republicans stand up to this guy and to his handful of activists and stop being intimidated by them. He is not the founder of the Tea Party movement. No politician is. Well, the only politician who might be is Barack Obama. But no Republican politician is the founder of the Tea Party movement, no matter how many times he or his supporters say so. That's not how it happened. And I've been addressing this now for, what, a year? And him? Maybe more? So let's, and there's even more untoward stuff in that background of his and his supporters. Go ahead and look. Look it up. Google it. Some weird crap going on there. And I'm not even talking about political philosophy. You know what I'm talking about. When we get hit, their first reaction is, see, I told you we shouldn't be there. See, I told you we've provoked. See, I've told. Now, they're getting a little more clever with their language. But you can't have a president like that, not that he'd ever get elected. Yes, he says a lot of good things. But he says a lot of stupid things, too. When it comes to foreign policy and national security, like everything else, we have core principles. And then we apply prudence and reason to those core principles, given the situation, given the facts, given the circumstances. But he doesn't do that. It's, we withdraw from here, withdraw from there. Well, what if there's a threat there? Well, if we weren't there, there wouldn't be a threat. Really? Really? Is that what history tells us, ladies and gentlemen? If we weren't there, there wouldn't be a threat? Now, I don't think that's what history tells us at all. And you know what? There's no reason to experiment with it either. Not anymore. Too many people lose their lives. Here's Ron Paul. Cut one, go.
As for Iran's nuclear ambitions, you wrote this. One can understand why they might want to become nuclear capable, if only to defend themselves and to be treated more respectfully. Is that your policy towards Iran?
Well, even our own CIA gives me this information that they have no evidence that they're working on a weapon. Just think of what we went through.
Stop. There's no evidence they're working on a weapon. What are you out of your mind? And since when do you rely on the CIA? I thought you had great skepticism about the government and the information they feed you. But Ron, everybody knows they're working on a weapon. Everybody knows it, apparently, but you. And then you say, well, you've said, well, why wouldn't they? One can understand why they might want to become nuclear capable, if only to defend themselves and to be treated more respectfully. Who cares what they think? They're a terrorist nation. They're our enemy. They've killed Americans. This is what I'm saying, folks. It's not even logical. Go ahead.
War. When I was in the Air Force, after I was drafted in the Air Force, all through the 60s, we were standing up against the Soviets. They had like 30,000 nuclear weapons with intercontinental missiles. Just think of the agitation and the worrying of a country that might get a nuclear weapon someday, and just think of how many nuclear weapons surround Iran. The Chinese are there, the Indians are there, the Pakistanis are there, the Israelis are there, the United States is there, all these countries. China has nuclear weapons. Why wouldn't it be natural that they might want a weapon? There'd be, internationally, they'd be given more respect.
All right, that's enough. Why do I care if it's quote-unquote natural for them to want a nuclear weapon? I'm sure Adolf Hitler would have liked nuclear weapons. It's because it's a threat to us and our allies. That's why. Now, I wish we could disarm China of its nuclear weapons, but we obviously can't, can we, ladies and gentlemen? Not directly any more than we could the Soviet Union. But we have a nation a nation in Iran that supports suicide bombers, that supports Al-Qaeda, that supports terrorist activity against the United States and other countries. So prudence and logic and reason would tell you that if you can address it, you would at least consider addressing it, rather than pretending that you're standing in their shoes or sitting on whatever they sit, on their camels. Well, of course they want this. Of course they want. That's not the point, Mr. Paul. The point is, as president, what do we want? And what are they capable of? But, of course, we know they're not doing anything because the CIA told you that. So what's the problem? We'll close our eyes to it. He believes that.
I'm sorry, but this Ron Paul is going to destroy this party if they keep if this is nuts on parade. The media loves this guy as nuts on parade. They want the whole Republican Party to be identified with the kookiness of Ron Paul. Hey, let Iran get nukes. It's our fault anyway. 1979 happened because they weren't minding our own business. That audience goes nuts. Oh, my gosh. What am I watching here? Oh, look who's on Fox. Oh, there he is outside the ice cream stand. Good old Ron Paul.
Ron Paul is, I think, uses his libertarianism sometimes as a excuse. I don't understand his policies in the Middle East. I do understand the idea that he expresses, and he's right about this. We have caused much of the problems over in the Middle East for us. Now, that's because we have gotten into bed. I mean, where are we most unpopular? Saudi Arabia and Egypt. The two countries that we have buddied up to, that are run by dictators. Let's be frank. I mean, you can, businessmen and everybody else can chum up to the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but they're dictators. They're brutal. They're awful. They are poisoning, as GBTV will show you in the first week of our broadcast. Will show you the poison that is coming from Saudi Arabia, and we've buddied up to them, and we've taken their oil, and we've made them rich, and everything else. They are trying to kill us, and they're trying to kill their own people. They're as bad as Syria. And the same thing can be said, and we instead send them tanks. That's why we're unpopular in those two countries. The reason why we're popular with the people of Iran is because we have never gotten into bed with Iran, because we declare they are brutal dictators.
Not since 1979, anyway.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So and when we were butting up with the Shah, who is not a good guy, they hated us. That's what caused the revolution. They hated us. So you can make the choice. We have caused a lot of problems, but this is a demented, psychotic group of people that are running many of these countries in the Middle East.
Well, that's
psychotic.
That's the problem. We've always been faced with that choice, and it's a complicated situation. You can't just. Ron Paul wants us to just ignore the world. He wants to be, and he will deny this, but he's an isolationist. Now, we could play that game, but I don't know if it's a legitimate game to be playing in the 21st century. I guess we have to make that decision. And besides, it's too late. We can't be isolationists now. We're involved in too many things.
Yeah, but
so now we've got to deal with the reality, and he won't.
Right.
He won't.
The answer is, it has taken us 100 years to get into this position. Progressives have done it since Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt started the whole campaign to spread America and her values all around the world. People were trying to adopt those values all around the world when we weren't jamming it down everybody's throat. As soon as the progressives came in and started jamming it down everybody's throat, why do you think we're so unpopular in South America? Why do you think in South America you have so many communists and rebels? Why? The people will go to it because they see us as an oppressor. Because under progressives like Woodrow Wilson, we were. They learned not to trust us. And that's the same thing in the Middle East. That is going to take time to undo. But you cannot just allow the keystone to the Western way of life to be destroyed by evil. You cannot live in a world where you have people say, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to kill him. In fact, I'm building a gun right now, and I'm going to take it over, and I'm going to kill him. Oh, by the way, I'm not hiding it. Here it is. Here's the gun. All I have to do is buy some bullets now, and I'm going to kill him. Hey, by the way, I'm on the way to the store to go buy some bullets because I'm going to kill him. And then when he does kill him, then you say, wait, when did that happen? How did that happen? It happened because you didn't listen to a guy saying, I'm going to kill him. I'm sorry. It is just a bigger process, but we do not embrace nations that say we're going to wipe all of these people up. Would we do it with Mexico? If they said, if all the drug lords or all the priests in Mexico said we're going to vaporize all Americans. We're going to drive them into the oceans because they took our land. And by the way, we're building nuclear weapons to do it. Would we listen to them? You damn right we would. Where is Ron Paul on that? Ron Paul has a lot of great things to say. But when it comes to the Middle East, he is dead wrong. And I use that phrase intentionally. Dead wrong. Because you're wrong on this one, and millions are dead. I prefer to listen to people who say, oh, by the way, we're going to vaporize an entire race of people. You want to talk about anti-Semitism, there it is. You want to talk about, if somebody said, hey, I'm going to kill every African American, I'm going to kill every black person on earth, would we be outraged, or would we say, yeah, there's things we can talk about? There's nothing to discuss. Nothing to discuss with people who say, I want to erase an entire race of people off the planet, no matter what that race is. I want to destroy an entire religion. Don't talk to me about a crusade. Do not talk to me about a crusade. I'm sorry. It's Friday. I got a little intense there.
You think?
Just a little.
You are,
I don't know.
By the way, you are such an anti-Semite. Have you noticed that, Pat? Did you hear that here in his voice?
I can't take the ignorance or the lies or the co-opting anymore. I can't take it. I cannot take it. You've never stood in a room with a group of people who will weep to thank you for telling the truth because they're afraid they're going to be rounded up and killed again. You don't know what that's like. Especially to be so humbled to stand there and say, here's a group of people that actually believe it. And they're thanking somebody because they're just standing up and saying, hey, what do you say we don't kill these people this time? That's how far this country and this planet is off the tracks. When somebody is thanked for standing up and saying, let's not kill people, we are way, way farther down the road than you think we are. And I'm tired of it.
Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, these countries are tiny compared to the Soviet Union. They don't pose a serious threat to us.